Welcome to Homeschool Testing Services video on interpreting your Stanford-10 online assessment results. The Stanford-10 online assessment allows you to assess your students' growth and performance at the time of testing. The goal of testing is to give you an idea of your students' areas of academic strengths and weaknesses. Your students' Stanford-10 results will give you a picture of what your student knows well and areas of where they need improvement. The Stanford-10 assessment can give you a snapshot of how your student has grown academically over the past year. I want to remind you that your students' test results do not define who they are as a person. A test cannot measure effort, focus, personal character, academic endurance, or creativity. It is important to remember that skills that are assessed on the Stanford-10 test may not be something that you covered this year in school. Testing assessments can help to build your relationship with your child. Together, you can set achievement goals for the next school year. When you test the Stanford-10 online assessment, you will receive this one-page student report with clusters. Let's look at the top half of the student report. At the top of the report, you will find your student's name, grade, and test date. Our sample student for today is John. Here is the list of subtests that John took along with partial battery and complete battery. Partial battery is the complete battery score, excluding the subtests of social science and science. Complete battery is the overall test score. The number possible is the total number of questions given for each subtest. The number correct is the number of questions John answered correctly on a subtest. The scaled score is based on the actual number of questions John answered correct. John's raw score is converted to a scale based on the difficulty level of each question. Raw scores cannot be compared between test years, but scaled scores can. By converting each score to a scaled score, this allows you to compare your student's scaled score year after year. Your student's scaled score should increase each year. You do not want to compare your student's scaled score between different test brands, but you can compare your student's scaled score each year on the Stanford-10 online. Next, let's look at the National PR-S. The PR stands for National Percentile Rank. The S stands for Stanine. The percentile rank indicates how many students in a norm group had scores that were the same or lower than John's score. A percentile does not indicate the percentage of questions that your student answered correctly. Here, the percentile rank is being compared to the national norm. This graph is a picture of the potential national percentile rank. The graph range is estimated. If John took the same test again, his score should fall in the percentile band displayed here. The S is the Stanine for the percentile rank. A Stanine is a quick way to compare your student's performance to the performance of other students in a norm group. Stanines are calculated by dividing the student's percentile rank in a norm group into 9 subgroups. These Stanines are numbered 1 to 9. 1 is the lowest Stanine, and 9 being the highest. These subgroups are not equivalent in size. Let's look at the spelling subtest. The E in parentheses states that this test was taken online or an electronic test. John was given 40 spelling questions and got 34 questions correct. John's spelling score was then scaled to receive a scaled score of 691. John's national percentile rank and Stanine for the spelling subtest is 75-6. John's national percentile rank is 75, and the Stanine is 6. John scored better than 75% of other 6th grade students nationally in spelling. Let's look at how the Stanine is broken down. This chart shows how Stanines are broken down into 9 parts. Each percentile rank is broken into a range and is divided into one of the 9 Stanine groups. The numbers on the bars 4, 7, 12, 17, 20, etc. are the percentage of students whose score falls into each Stanine. For a Stanine 3, 12% 12% of students fall into the Stanine 3 category based on their percentile rank between 11 and 22. Compare that to a Stanine 5, which has 20% of the students and percentile rank between 40 and 59. A Stanine of a 4, 5, or a 6 is considered average. 54% of students will receive an average score with a Stanine of 4, 5, or a 6. A Stanine of 1, 2, or 3 is considered below average. 23% of students will score below average on a subtest scaled score. A Stanine of 7, 8, or 9 is considered above average performance. 23% of students will score above average on a given subtest. John's percentile for spelling was 75 when compared to the national norm. If we look here at percentile 75, that lines up with a Stanine of 6. 17% of the students will score a Stanine of 6 on a given subtest. A Stanine of 6 is average. John's percentile rank was average on his spelling subtest when compared to the national norm. NCE stands for the normal curve equivalent. This NCE is compared to the national norm group. Normal curve equivalent is a way of measuring where a student falls along the normal curve. The number on the normal curve line runs from 0 to 100 and displays how many students out of 100 had a lower score. The average NCE is 50. Grade equivalent is calculated using the averaged raw score. You will see the grade, a decimal point, and then the month. The grade equivalent provides a general grade level of overall performance. This does not say that your child is performing at that grade level. However, it means that a student at the same grade level would have gotten the same score as your child if they were to have taken the same test as your child. John's grade equivalent for spelling is 10.4. John was in 6th grade when he took the test. 10.4 translates to 10th grade 4th month. We would not place John in 10th grade, but a 10th grader would score as well as John on this spelling subtest. Lexile is a valuable measure that you can use to match your student's reading level with a book or a text Lexile text measure. Please check out our video about Lexile on our website under Utilizing Results. Or visit Lexile.com on how you can pair your students' Lexile reading measure to books that match their reading level and content interest. Here is the bottom half of John's result page. This half of the page breaks down each subtest into smaller categories. For example, reading vocabulary is broken down into synonyms, multiple meaning words, context clues, and thinking skills. Depending on your student's grade level, each subtest is broken down into different sections. NP is number presented. This is the number of problems that were presented to your student. NA is number attempted. This is the number of problems that your student answered on the assessment. Number presented and number attempted should always be the same. If they are not the same, then the student didn't answer all of the questions on the assessment. NC is number correct. This is how many questions your student answered correctly. This chart allows you to quickly see how your student performed on each subtest. This allows you to locate areas where your student may need help or extra attention in the next school year. C stands for content cluster. P stands for process cluster. Content clusters is the results of questions that were asked on the test based on the content of the subject tested. Process cluster is the results of questions that involved critical thinking skills. Students had to understand and then interpret the information further. I want to thank you for trusting Homeschool Testing Services with your testing needs. Please let us know if there's anything else we can do to help service your testing needs.